Hello, everybody. Sandra Elijah here. I'm welcoming you to our series that we've started a few days now, and actually, I think for a week. I want to invite you to go ahead and share this message with your friends and family members. The series we are doing is How to Know God Through the Church. How to Know God Through the Church. So, how to know God through the church is going to be how to know God through the church. I want you to go ahead and tag people, as many people as you can. Go and invite people, go and share the message. This series has been a very, very controversial one, and one of the other things that I do here. One of the other things that I do here is that. One of the other things that I do here in this series is I show some videos, comical videos that will help people to know, to get the message that I'm trying to send across. It's a very, very descriptive, illustrative video that is going to help us, in different subjects. I play different videos. So let's go ahead and see the video for today, and then we'll come back to this topic.
Welcome. In this episode, I want to tell you why real churches are like schools of fish. This is Susie. Her dream is to become a dancer. That's why she joined a dance school. This is Norm. His dream is to not become dinner. That's why he joined a fish school. As you can see, Susie's idea of school and Norm's idea of school are very different. That's why they don't understand each other whenever they talk about school. Susie wonders, how can they call it a school of fish when they don't even have a building? And Norm wonders, how can they call it a school of dance when it doesn't even move from place to place? The confusion comes from using one word with two very different meanings. When Susie says school, she means a place, a program, an organization. When Norm says school, he means something more like a swarm, a herd, or a flock. When Susie and her friends graduate, their school will still be intact because their kind of school has an existence apart from its members. But when Norm and his friends go their separate ways, their school will dissolve. Without Norm and his friends, their school doesn't even exist. One word, two very different meanings. The same can be said of the word church. In fact, here's one of the first Christians. We'll call him Max, and we'll put him over here on Norm's side because Max's concept of church is very much like Norm's school of fish. Max's church is fairly small, mainly just his family and a handful of friends and neighbors. They meet almost every night at his house, and it's very informal. Max loves his church and often refers to them simply as his family. Now let's bring in Ed. Ed is one of today's Christians. He doesn't think his church is all that big, but it's far too big to meet in a living room. That's why they own a church building. They also have a small paid staff and volunteers who run the various youth programs and Sunday school classes. But here's where things get really interesting. If you ask Ed whether he thinks the word church describes a group of Christians somewhat like Norm's school of fish, or an institution attended by Christians, somewhat like Susie's school of dance, his answer might surprise you. Many Christians like Ed think they think about church in the exact same way Max does, but they don't. And the way they use the word church proves this. Just listen to some of the ways today's Christians use the word church. What church do you go to? What time does church start? Look at that beautiful old wooden church. In each instance, the church is something separate from themselves. It's an institution. What church do you go to? Or an event. What time does church start? Or a building. Look at that beautiful old wooden church. You could easily replace their use of the word church with Susie's use of the word school. What school do you go to? What time does school start? Look at that beautiful old wooden school. But if you tried to substitute Max's term of affection for his church, it would actually sound kind of crazy. What family do you go to? What time does family start? Look at that beautiful old wooden family. It simply doesn't make sense. Okay, so school. One word with two very different meanings. Church, a word that had only one meaning until we gave it another. If you like this video, please check out the rest of my...
All right, guys. So here we are. The topic of today, the series we are doing is How to Know God Through the Bible. How to Know God Through the Bible. But nada mention to the letter new rav number nada shobana bela garmonish to be at night. How to know God through the church? Nada what I mention to the letter really. Babusha te możesz pomóc jest that emotions. The topic of today is the best way to do church service. The best way to do church service. So the best way to do church service is what we are talking about, and the reason why I'm talking about this is, and the reason why I showed the video that I showed is for you to know that what we call church service is different from what God intended. So we might be using the same word or the same terminology, but in the real sense, it might be actually different from the way it was originally conceived. So when it is what we saw in that video, in that multiplication film, it shows us in that comic, it shows us that a lot of times we use terminologies and languages that are actually supposed to be meant for something else. The same thing has happened to us as a church. I'm still going to come back to that film, and I'm still going to analyze it. But I want to go through the classes. Through the lessons first. If we finish on time, I will come back to it. Because what we do, the problem is that we say we are going to church or we are going to church service, but really, is that the way God intended it to be in the beginning? Is that the way Jesus intended church to be, the way we are using it right now, the way we are doing church right now? So we are going to go to the notes, and then we'll come back. So one of the most popular scriptures that Christians use to justify and to explain why we must go to church service in a building is this scripture here, Hebrews 10:24-25. And let us consider one another in order to stir up love and good works. You see that there's nothing like building here. Verse 25, not forsaking the assembling. You see, it's assembling that is mentioned, not assembly, which means it's not church building, it's not a place. Assembly is a place. Assembling is a process of just meeting. So, not forsaking the assembling. So, assembling means church. What God intended church to be is not a place. It's not a gathering place, that a particular spot that everybody goes to and then, say they go to church. We have gone to church service. But in real sense, God's intention about church or even service is doing service to others. And in the Acts of the Apostles, if you see the way they did service, it was service to others, service to people. So even when they came together, it could be in the street, they would do service to people. It could be in the building, they would do service to people. Or in houses, they just go to where people were and met together with one another. That was church. But most important thing that is important is to do service to others. So, but we have made church service to become an institutionalized something that is institutionalized, something that is stationary. So church service for us is to go to a building where some things are going on and come out, and then we think we have done church service. Like church, we have done service to God, but really church is meant to do service to man. Church service is supposed to be serving is about we, not pastors serving us, But we Christians serving other people, serving other one another, doing service to one another. So church service is not supposed to be about a particular place where you go to every Sunday. Church service is not supposed to be a particular place where you go to and you sit down and everybody is talking to you. Church service is the service you give, in the name of God to other people, to one another, to other people any time of the day. That is the real meaning of service. And that's why this scripture here is talking about let us consider one another. When you consider one another, that is a service. That is church service. And then let us stir up love. When you stir up love for one another, that is a service. That is church service. And let us stir up love and good works. When you stir up and do good works to other people and you make other people do good works, that is service. When you make other people love or you love other people, that is service. So service that God is talking about for the believers is for us, the purpose of gathering together is to do service. It's not to try to sing to God or try to go and pray to God. That is not such service, because you could pray to God in your house, you could pray to God everywhere, you could sing to God every 24 hours a day, wherever you are. So church service is about coming together to do good to other people, coming together to do good to one another or to other people. That's why he said, let us consider one another to stir up love and good works. So if love is not involved, you have not done service. If good works are not involved, you have not done service. Not forsaking the assembling, not assembly that is in one spot, but assembling, meeting, which means don't forsake to gather together in places to render service to people, to other people. That is what he's talking about here. Don't forget to do that. Not necessarily in one particular spot or church. So let us now go and read my notes, which I will come back to this one. But this note, I got an article from the internet that really informed me. I'm going to credit the person at the end of the program. But this really, that is the thing that really informed me to do this subject. So we are being very delusional if we think we are doing the church a service by sitting within the confines of a church building. So, and that is what we now call service, instead of service to be what we render to others. Service is supposed to be what we do to others. That's why Jesus said, I was hungry, you fed me. That is service. I was naked, you clothed me. That is service. So service is supposed to be what we render. And when we Christians, 2, 3 come together, we are supposed to be rendering service to other people. So we are actually being delusional and doing God and the church this service when we just going to sit down in a church building and say we have got a church service. So when we go and sit in the confines of a building and say we are having service, we are just deceiving ourselves and we are discrediting the name of God and Christianity as a whole. Yes, I get. We may forsake the assembling. We may not forsake the assembling of the brethren. Yes, you don't have to, forsaking the assembling. It means that don't totally neglect the meeting together of Christians. And that's what I'm saying. Meet with 1 or 2 or 3 or even many more people to do good. If you really want to do the church a service, please go to the hospitals and visit the sick. That's what somebody wrote. Go to the hospital and visit the sick. So when we go to the hospital and visit the sick, we are actually doing the best service we could do. But today in our churches, especially in Africa, you try not to go to church on Sunday. They will tell you that you are backsliding or why you are not going to church, because we have institutionalized going to church. To us, going to church now is going to a building, going to a one place, like in that film that we just saw, and visit the sick. So if you go to the hospital and visit the sick, that is the best service you can render to God and man. So you say, but we are not singing to God. But you say, you cannot love God without loving man. And the only way to worship God is by honoring man. When you go to the hospital to visit that sick, you are honoring God by honoring that sick person. When you go to the hospital to touch that person or to care for that person, you are actually ministering to God. That is the best way to do service. Go to the prison yards is another way. Go to prisons. If you go to the prison and minister to people there, that's exactly how Jesus himself recommended that he should be worshipped. He himself recommended that he should be worshipped by, when you want to really worship him and honor him, go, he said, I was hungry. Go and feed the hungry. That is the best way to worship Jesus, because it is him directly you are doing it to. He said, when I was in prison, if you go and take care of the people in prison, it is as good as you are taking care of Jesus himself. That is the best way to do church service. Not just to go and make your pastor feel good and to make sure that the pews are filled up. That is not church service. That is a disservice. That is, saying that you have gone to feed the poor without even seeing any poor. That is not church service. That is what has become of church service. That is what religion has done for us. Religion has instituted service, church service, instead of making it to be practical and to be an act of love the way it was supposed to be originally. So right now, what we do is that we pass by people in prison. We don't even think about them because we are going to church. And as long as we have gone to church and we have done our religion there, religious services there, we think we are satisfied. We have peace within ourselves because we think we are okay. And then we go back home without even remembering those people in prison. So it's a big challenge that we're having in our hands, because we are now having religion instead of having real love. Church service is supposed to be a way to express God's real love, a way to pass across God's nature, God's love to the people, to humankind. And that is by rendering service to the world around us. So how can we do that? Go to the prison and take care of the prisoners. Go to the hospital and take care of the people in the hospital. Go to orphanages. In our country, Africa, most people don't even know there are orphanages, because we don't even go to orphanages. We don't even recognize them. But there's a lot of children running about the streets that we care less about. And we comfort ourselves that I'm paying my tithe, I'm going to church. So we have allowed religion to kill sensitivity to the needs of real people. We have allowed religious activities to render powerless the power of love, the power of compassion, the power of Christianity, the power of faith that Christ brought. So the best way to really do church service is to gather yourself together on Sunday, go to an orphanage and take care of children. The best way to do church service is to gather yourself together with one or two other persons and go to the prison and pray with them and read the Bible with them and minister to them and comfort them in their sorrow. Help the poor. The best way you could go to take care, to do church service, is not just every Sunday, every day, is to look for the poor, take your money, your tithe and offering, and use it to take care of them. That is the best way to serve God. Because I was naked, I was hungry. This is Jesus saying, if you want to really take care of me, you want to serve me, this is the way. Go and look for those who are hungry. Go and look for those who are poor. Go and look for those in prison. Go and look for those in hospitals. Go and take care of them. Look for the senior citizens, the aged people, the pensioners. Go ahead and reach out to them. Spend time with them, pray with them, sing with them. Do services to them, clean them up. Go and look for the homeless people, wash them, clothe them, clean them up. That is the way to do service. That is giving service. Service is service. Service is the rendering of love. That is what it's supposed to mean. Service is, to render love to other people. Go to the people who are helpless and to the homeless. Go and take care of those kind of people. That is when you do service. But what we are now calling service is a betrayal of Christian faith and Christian love and Christian ministry. So if you really want to do service, church service, go in the name of the Lord, in the name of church, in the name of God. Go and be an advocate and become a voice to the voiceless. By you speaking for those who couldn't speak for themselves, by you fighting for justice where you are, that is a way of carrying the love of God and serving, bringing the service of God, God's love, serving people, serving humanity with God's love. This is what Christianity is. And this is what it was meant to be like. So if you really want to serve God, you want to go to service, don't remove your clothes. Those fancy clothes that we are wearing, and all those things that we are doing to go and sit down in one place. We can do that too, but it must be connected to doing good. It must be connected to rendering service. So the reason you want to go to church is because you want to go and render service to people. You want to go and steer other people in love. You want to go and do good works to people. That is the only reason why you want to go to church. And if it is not that, then go and give service the way Jesus wants us to give service. Render voice to the voiceless. Give voice to the voiceless people. Help those people and help others project their voice. Fight for the equality of people. Fight for inclusion, fairness, and justice in the society. So these are ways and manners that we could actually do service. So the best way to do service is not just buying a Yamaha and getting some beautiful girls to jump up in front of the hall and making some people sit down like in a concert. That is the model that we got from the Roman Empire. That is the Greek concert, Greek form of public, theater. Theater is their own Senate form of gathering. And that is what the church has inherited, and we have lost the whole essence of what church service is supposed to be. Do you really want to do a service? Do you want to do church a service? Well, go to the laboratories. And even churches are supposed to be teaching their young people and teaching their members that, okay, you came here on Sunday, but from Monday to Friday, please go and develop yourself. Go to the laboratories, right? And find ways to develop cures for human needs, for human diseases, cures for animals, and for plant diseases. That is one of the best ways for you to serve God. You can give services to people by bringing health to people. You can bring services to people by bringing, the healing of God to people in the name of God. So if you want to do service to God, that is the best way to do service to God. I was sick, you didn't visit me. It is about service in the name of God. That is what church service is supposed to be. Church is supposed to be giving services to the needy. Church is supposed to be giving services to the members. Church members are supposed to be giving services to themselves. Because the church is not a building. We are the church. We are the church. So to church service should mean service that is being rendered by church people, by church members. Services that are rendered to one another and to people outside of the church. Church service is services that we render, love of that we render. There's a labor of love. It's the kindness that we render. By going to, you work in the laboratory, that is much more productive. Working in the laboratory is much more productive than going to sit down in the building every Sunday or every week and you don't benefit anybody. If you go to the laboratory and sit down there and do research, you'll be able to have more solutions than just going down to sit in church and praying that God should come and do what you are supposed to do. It's better for you to go and go to the fields and investigate and do research on plants and animals and find out means and ways to resolve the issues of the nature and of ecology than just to go and be praying in church and not even give service to anything. Whereas the Bible is saying that the whole nature of creation is waiting for the manifestation of the sons of God. All of creation is waiting for the manifestation of God. All of creation is groaning, waiting for us to bring salvation and to bring deliverance to every sphere of life. So by teaching our people to go to every sphere of life, that is the best way to do service. That is the best way to go to church. That is the best way to do church service. So service is supposed to be service. Service is supposed to be serving love, giving care, giving kindness to the world around us, not just going to sit down and observe some liturgy. We have been deceived. The way church is being done is become a deception. So if you want to really do church God a service, find ways to provide clean, drinkable water to your community. Gather together with 2 or 3 people. Use your tithe and offering to provide water to the people in the village, to people in your neighborhood. Find a way of supplying water pipe to homes. Find a way of providing electricity to people around you. In the name of Jesus, as Christians, that is the best way to do service. That is the best way to bring service. You are bringing the service of love, service of kindness. You are doing exactly what the Bible says. I was naked, I was poor, I was hungry. That is the best way for us to really go and render the love of God, the care of God to our community. Bring drinkable water so as to prevent people from dying from water-borne diseases. It is said. So all these things are ways that we are supposed to be looking at church service. Church service is supposed to be about church rendering service. Church service is supposed to be about the service that the church is rendering to the world. I want us to go back to that video. And see the way we have really destroyed the meaning of love and of service, church service, and replaced it instead of, the way God intended it to be originally. Let's see the video.
This is Susie. Her dream is to become a dancer. That's why she joined a dance school. This is Norm. His dream is to not become dinner. That's why he joined a fish school. As you can see, Susie's idea of school and Norm's idea of school are very different. That's why they don't understand each other whenever they talk about school.
You see, the idea that the girl has about school is to go to a stationary place, an institutional place, and go there and sit down. That is exactly our own idea of church today. Why the idea that the fish has about school is gathering together of school, of movements, of doing things, swimming, finding their life. That is, you see, the idea of school. Because, school, when you gather, when there is one fish, that is one fish. But when there are many fish that are swimming, it's called school of fish. So school, in somebody's mind, is school of fish. That is, they are swimming, they are going everywhere. That is more like what God meant us to be with church. Church, meet together with people, just like the fish. Meet together with another fish. Those fish people, they don't have a stationary place where they are meeting. The school of fish, they don't have a place where they are going to gather and somebody is teaching them. No, it's like nature, natural. They just naturally, meet up with one another and go to do what they need to do, carry out their own calling. This is the way church is supposed to operate. Church is supposed to operate not like going somewhere, dress up and sit down. No, that is this idea that girl, that little girl in the cartoon has about school. But the idea that God wants us to have about church is not to go down and be sitting down, somebody is telling us story and we go back home. No, it's about service, church service. It's about church people bringing service to the community. That is why the missionaries came to Africa with service, with schools, with service, with hospitals, with service, with educational centers, with service, with healthcare, with service, with roads, with civilization. That is what the church is supposed to be doing. Church service means to minister, to bring love, to serve love and kindness to the world around you and to one another. Okay, continue.
Susie wonders, how can they call it a school of fish when they don't even have a building? And Norm wonders, how can they call it a school of dance when it doesn't even move from place to place? The confusion comes from using one word with two very different meanings. When Susie says school, she means a place, a program, an organization. When Norm says school, he means something more like a swarm, a herd, or a flock. When Susie and her friends graduate, their school will still be intact because their kind of school has an existence apart from its members. But when Norm and his friends go their separate ways, their school will dissolve. Without Norm and his friends, their school doesn't even exist. One word, two very different meanings. The same can be said of the word church. In fact, here's one of the first Christians. We'll call him Max, and we'll put him over here on Norm's side because Max's concept of church is very much like Norm's school of fish. Max's church is fairly small, mainly just his family and a handful of friends and neighbors. They meet almost every night at his house, and it's very informal. Max loves his church and often refers to them simply as his family. Now let's bring in Ed.
So Max, the way Max is seeing church is not just to gather together, but if they want to do church service, those people that gather together are supposed to now reach out and do service to not just one another, but to the world around them. That is what service is supposed to be about, like we have just read today. Go and look for the needs in the community and meet them. Bring the service of God's love to the community. Yes.
Ed is one of today's Christians. He doesn't think his church is all that big, but it's far too big to meet in a living room. That's why they own a church building. They also have a small paid staff and volunteers who run the various youth programs and Sunday school classes. But here's where things get really interesting.
But you see, what we saw there right now is institution already. There's no life. It is not about the life anymore. The emphasis now is going to be on the building, on the budget, on the staff, on the music, on things. It is now you are servicing the structure instead of servicing people who are really in need. And that is what religion has done to us. And that's why we are getting it wrong with religion. And religion doesn't represent Christ. And through religion, you cannot win the world. Through religion, you cannot bring Christ. You cannot conquer the world with religion. You can only conquer the world with love. Okay?
Ask Ed whether he thinks the word church describes a group of Christians somewhat like Norm's School of Fish, or an institution attended by Christians, somewhat like Susie's School of Dance. His answer might surprise you. Many Christians like Ed think they think about church in the exact same way Max does, but they don't. And the way they use the word church proves this. Just listen to some of the ways today's Christians use the word church. What church do you go to? What time does church start? Look at that beautiful old wooden church. In each instance, the church is something separate from themselves. It's an institution. What church do you go to? Or an event. What time does church start? Or a building. Look at that beautiful old wooden church. You could easily replace their use of the word church with Susie's use of the word school. What school do you go to? What time does school start? Look at that beautiful old wooden school. But if you tried to substitute Max's term of affection for his church, it would actually sound kind of crazy. What family do you go to? What time does family start?
Stop.
Look at that beautiful...
You see, this is family. Church is supposed to be God's family, rendering love to the world. Church is God's family, rendering service to the world. God's service, rendering service of love to one another, to the world, rendering service of kindness, justice, truth, equity to the world. Yes, please.
Beautiful old wooden family. It simply doesn't make sense. Okay, so school. One word with two very different meanings. Church, a word that had only one meaning until we gave it another. If you like this...
So it's supposed to be a community, but instead of it being a family and a community, it has become an institution, and it is called religion. So if you want to do it the way it's supposed to be, church is supposed to be the family of God, where we are being, where we gather together to render the love of God to people, to one another, to render the love of God to the community we live in, take care of the needs around us, go to the hospitals, take care of the people in prison, take care of orphanages, to help the poor, help the aged people, help the helpless, help the homeless, raise our voices for the voiceless, bring equity, bring fairness, bring love, bring justice, bring truth to the society. Or go to the lab, find inventions, find innovation, find creativity, bring cure to people, animals, humans, plants. Provide services like clean water, electricity to people around. Meet the needs of people, and people will see Jesus through you that way. That is the best way to do church service. Church, the family of God, bringing service of love, of kindness, of equity, of justice to the society. This is the real church. You want to find out a way to do the best way to do church? This is the best way to do church. Go and touch your world with the love of Christ. Well, I'll continue this topic tomorrow. But before then, please go and share the message. Share. Go and share the message with your friends and family members. And also go and join the mentorship program. I have a free mentorship program that's going on every day on the internet, online. Just go to sundayadelaijablog.com/mentorship. sundayadelaijablog.com/mentorship. If you want to read my books, you can read them for free by going to Kindle Unlimited, and you'll be able to read all my books for free almost. And then you can also buy my books on Amazon, or if you want to buy many books, you can buy them by writing to my office. Write to dssbooks@gmail.com. 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 So, and also, if you want to come to do History Makers with us, you can do that by writing to hmt@godembassy.org. 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 So, and I hope you are getting something from this, and let's meet tomorrow. But before then, if you want to be getting our messages on WhatsApp as well, you just go and send your telephone number and WhatsApp number to our number. Our number is +38 098 596 3838. +38 098 596 3838. We'll see you tomorrow. Peace. If you have been watching our videos and maybe you enjoy them, maybe you don't enjoy them, but still we need you to help us spread the word. And for that to happen, we only need you to take 5 little steps. Please help us spread this word by liking the video. Then, if you have not yet subscribed to our channel, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We also need you to press the notification button, and the way to do that is to click on the bell. You see the bell there? Click on it. Then, of course, leave your comments. Let's know what you're thinking about each video. And finally, we need you to go and share the word. Share this video on your Facebook timeline, on your Instagram, and every other platform that you have. All right? Let's win the world for Christ. Thank you so much. Peace.